amount of shadiness I've seen in Ahmedabad quizzes is less.
Yeah.
Because obviously the number is less. Number of quizzes is less. Number of shady quizzes is also less. I mean, prize money is decent. And normally I've never attended a shady quiz there in Ahmedabad. Delhi, on the other hand, there are more number of quizzes. So the number of shady quiz automatically increases. But some quizzes are really damn shady. I mean, I don't know what, TikTok videos, lot of things like that. I mean,
You
TikTok
had
is not
TikTok
shady.
video.
People will.
What?
Yeah, we had TikTok videos in quizzes. Like some.
Hey,
I know people.
Hey, don't call that shady. That was my idea for a written book.
Yeah, I know many people will jump on me.
So
This is
it's still
a very
shady.
sensitive topic.
Just because Prithvi is doing
shady.
it doesn't mean it's not shady.
Of course.
But also, like, some people have that talent. I mean, if Prithvi, probably I give him a TikTok quiz, the answers will be फंडा निकाल देगा, मतलब उसके अंदर से
मेजर अगर बनाएंगे, पृथ्वी अगर बनाएगा तो फंडा निकल जाएगा TikTok वीडियो.
I think I'm done. I am mentioned with major in the same sentence. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So, did quizzing have some part to play in your career path's change? As in, you went from being an engineer, electrical engineer, as you said, to pursuing a career in art and aesthetics, as in your course is art and aesthetics. So, you have taken a diversion in your career path. How much do you owe that to quizzing?
I guess I owe everything to quizzing for that. For that particular aspect, I think I owe a lot to quizzing, because I'm pretty sure I had. I mean, there was hardly any book I had, like, during my school days. I think probably Alice in Wonderland and Tintin were the only books I read. So reading movies as well as exposure to art, I think it definitely came through quizzing only. Art, though, I'm pretty sure other than MF Hussain, I had no clue about anyone. And I think it's quizzing only. Otherwise, I don't think I would have ever been exposed to these things, especially literature and movies. So yeah, definitely it had that passion was, that's all I did for 4 years, reading books, going to quizzes. So and watching movies, I became, so quizzing was one passion that helped me discover my other passions. So yeah, I owe that to quizzing. So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't interested in engineering anyhow. So it took me some time to figure out what I really like. But then I think it's the right choice. I think I made the right choice. God only knows. Let's see. So, but I owe it to quizzing.
You are in such a reputed college. I'm sure your career path is set. I'm sure. Unless we have a change in political power and things like that happens.
Oh yeah, everything, like, I know it's a very highly politicized. I mean, yeah, it's very different from my previous college. Like, it's miles apart from my previous college. I mean, two colleges couldn't be that contrasting, I guess, for anyone. So I just don't know. But let's see how this works out for me. I have no clue. But yeah, so I really like that academic environment that quizzing really pushed me with. And it's like it helped me introduce me to other academics and other really good intellectuals. So I got a lot to learn with them. So that's why I guess I also got sucked into this reading, movies, everything. So yeah, it's majorly due to quizzing. Otherwise, I don't know what I might do. I don't know. So yeah, it did help me find purpose somewhere in my career. So let's see.
All right. So Shrey, this change in career path, you're studying art and aesthetics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that you explore cinema or read books, do you like analyze them differently? Do you pay more attention to the background stuff? How does it change your perspective?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the way I used to look at movies earlier and the way I look at movies right now, it's very different. So, I mean, I never thought that a lot of information, like visual as well as textual, can be combined into a single frame that you might not be able to perceive in just one viewing. In some movies, not all movies. I mean, if you watch The Room, it's a different thing. But yeah, if you watch, like I can give you one example. Like I have seen Blade. Like if you have seen Blade Runner,
Right.
so Blade Runner earlier I have seen that movie, but after I went I joined my course, I studied about it. Then I knew how dense a movie Blade Runner is. I mean, I had no clue it was that dense in my first viewing. It is said to be a post. Like I will just give you a brief description of one instance where I felt like, oh, probably that much information is packed in one viewing. So what just happened? There is a simple scene in which a replicant or a robot, if you haven't seen it, lady, when he's being chased by the cop, that lady just smashes across a glass mirror, right? So Ridley Scott later, I found out in his interview or somewhere that it was a reference to postmodern architecture. Like he's breaking glass. He's breaking glass. Blade Runner is said to be a postmodern cinema. It is said to be postmodern cinema, but he's also giving a reference to postmodern architecture because he's breaking glass. He's against that, right? So I mean, there are a lot of hidden clues inside. Like in second viewing, you'll see a lot of things. So you'll find out something that wasn't even there. So it's definitely different.
And do you find it
after
slightly?
reading-
Yeah, and do you find it slightly hard, as in the viewing harder today after you understand the background behind something? As in, can you really switch off yourself from trying to understand and just watching a film just for the sake of it, just for the entertainment value?
Yes, I mean that is something I really miss now. I'm not lying. I mean, my mind is always on, but it's kind of really difficult right now also to get everything in the first go. Nobody does, not even film critics. I mean, either they have to keep on writing along with the film for the first time. So I normally watch whenever in my first viewing, I just watch it as a normal film. So otherwise, if I have to study on it, I'll watch it the second time and write everything. But otherwise, I just watch it as a normal audience. So I mean,
But I'm sure
that is
there's a
still inside me. I just
clock which continues to think, "Arey, ye camera work kitna acha hai," and things like that. Because after I have also kind of
really
not at your level, and whatever level I've understood, ki you kind of start to notice, "Arey, ye kaise kiya, arey ye sound effect, arey ye bahut," as in things like that happened to me also.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I never used to know about editing. I never used to see editing. But now I can clearly see what editing means and how much important it is. Like a simple match cut from Lawrence of Arabia. Like when he blows the matchstick and then the entire desert is there. So such things you keep, and sound, another very important thing.
So I learned like the importance of editing after watching Every Frame a Painting. Like that channel just blew me away because it obviously does a lot of editing,
especially the action, especially the action videos that they show, right? Jackie Chan versus the
action comedy
Hollywood film.
You're talking about, right?
Yeah, please.
There's also another video which talks only about editing. I don't know which specific movie that is. I think it's Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder.
Yeah,
I might be wrong. It's been a while, but there's one specific video where he just talks about how good editing was. Oh no, it's about Psycho. Yeah, so that famous scene with so many cuts. So it's
the
shower
scene is it has way too many cuts. It's very fast and it like flips. Like so is Battleship Potemkin. Like there are a lot of cuts in that movie. Like so, yeah, it's very interesting to watch that. I mean, there are a lot of things like even about sound. Sound, I never noticed how important it was because, like, if you've seen Memories of Murder, you do not actually see the killer. You never see the killer throughout the film. Yeah, it's just the sound. It's just a sound. That's it. And with that sound, they create that entire character, and you watch that character for that entire movie. So that's how important sound is.
Yeah, it's very Pavlovian of the director to do that, right? You are kind of associating the murderer with the sound itself, right?
Yeah.
But
So
that also
that's
happens in Fincher 7, right? Because Spacey
Yeah.
comes right at the end.
Yeah.
And
Spoiler alert.
okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll just stop there. Yeah, but something similar in Fincher 7 as well.
yeah. So this is you will realize how important. So whenever a sound is connected to any character, like particular character, like Omar Little's tune in Wire, like when the tune plays, he's going to come. So that's called a leitmotif. But you won't understand its importance now. But if you look at any ancient film, you will understand how important that was. Like when
Yeah,
it
they
came,
are
like there.
attacking your conscious and your subconscious basically
Yes.
with
Yes.
the kind of oral response, which is why something I think not very understood with the common folks, as in not people not into this, that such a little response or a subtle responses to the oral or the visual can have such deepening effect. I think even so, this is like art recreating life also. You also know, for example, if a door opens, your father is coming out of your room, so you kind of get into that headspace also. As in, for me, that is one of the things. I think in life also, that is replication of something from art. Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, basically, yeah, definitely it's become more dense. Every movie, every frame has become dense, and it's like a lot of information is thrown at you. So it's very difficult to always keep your mind open, but it's also fun if you know. You can see much more. So yeah, definitely enhance my thinking capacity. But yeah, it has robbed me a bit of my earlier innocence as an audience. I have to be true to that statement. Yeah, earlier I was just like, Sallu Bhai movies playing, I'll just go with a popcorn, just enjoy. Like, okay, but things
I've
have
watched
changed a
only
bit.
one Sallu Bhai movie, Andaz Apna Apna, which is not even a
Oh,
Sallu Bhai film.
that is the best Sallu film ever. So yeah, basically cinema is like not like Bollywood also like one of my favorite movies. Like references over references, Johnny Gaddar.
Oh yeah.
So
Lovely.
yeah, I mean those who have seen it multiple times will get it.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful. It's amazing. I mean, like in my first viewing, probably I didn't get it that much, but when I watched it the second time, you know how amazing that movie is. And not just because of that storyline, but because of a lot of other things other than the
Another
storyline.
movie like that would be Oi Lucky Lucky Oi.
Yes.
Which has a lot of layered Delhi references, which you don't get at the first time because it's a fun movie. You just watch it, but on repeated, you
Yeah.
just appreciate it more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and because of all of this, whenever I go with friends, I kind of don't enjoy it as much because I have to explain a few things to them, and I kind of drift away from being the so even when you're on a laptop versus on a device versus in a screen, you have your undivided attention towards the screen, and you are in the moment. And I love that, the fact that you can do that. You can't always do that. You have somebody coming into your room, somebody asking you questions whenever you are on a device and things like that. I think that is also one thing
Yeah.
that is I feel strongly about, I think.
Let's see.
So Shrey, let's come back to core quizzing. So
Yeah.
who are some of your favorite quiz masters? Who do you love as quiz masters?
I mean, I have like for Mela, I really like Suraj Menon's quizzes. Yeah, I haven't seen him as a QM in a long time now. So I really used to
That
love his
man
Mela
is
quiz.
bored of creating Mela quizzes. When
I think he must be
I
pretty
yeah,
bored.
I asked him to conduct a couple of quizzes. He said कि मेला मत दे यार और कुछ भी दे दे. He was like that.
Yeah, but his Mela quizzes are so good.
Yeah,
So
which
I
is
really
why.
used to love his quizzes a lot. And also him as a Q. I mean, not his questions I really used to like. He always used to be half the time he used to be grumpy or sleep deprived, but
Yeah.
didn't matter because the questions were really good.
Yeah.
So, like as a QM, the best QM I have seen, like in terms of questions and presentation, both is Major, no doubt. major, and also Kushan because I started my quizzing with him. So he provided good quality questions in my early quizzes. So that's why because of him, I got habituated to how quizzing actually works. So he's he and Major, I think, are my picks for my favorite films. So Major, no doubt, I got more exposure after coming to Delhi. But I think I don't have to say it out. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Whoever is in cuisine circuit, whoever has seen his sets, like the quality always like leaves your mind blown. Like it just like you are surprised after so many quizzes. I don't know how he maintains and researches at that level. So yeah, really outstanding. So, yeah.
I think we've asked this question to 4 people till now, and everyone has mentioned Major and Suraj Menon. So that says something.
Yeah, that does definitely. I mean,
Or probably it says something about the guests that we are choosing.
might
We're
be,
not
might be.
diversifying enough.
Possibly guilty as charged.
Guilty as
Yeah,
but business quizzes. I always like Kushan's quizzes more than anyone else. Business and Mela used to. Kushan also makes very good sets. So yeah, I really liked his quizzes. I still do, but I haven't attended one for a long time.
All right. So we asked Shrey to come up with 5 of his most favorite questions he's ever created. And here they are. So Shrey, take it away.
Like this question. Can you see the full question?
Yeah.
yeah.
So I like this question. I mean, this was there recently in the Gargi quiz. So I like this because sometimes once in a while you just stumble onto some article which you think is a very good question because it's not only it's a good answer, but there are also many clues in the question itself. So this is one of those questions that I love. Like, so this is about just RJ Reynolds. I mean, the Camel cigarettes packet. So he was a Belgian artist who apparently wanted to protest uh, about the artwork in the Camel cigarettes. I mean, through that, he wanted to protest. So, how did he protest? Basically, that was the question. So, because his original artwork wasn't selected. So, but what was the symbol of protest? So now it's given that he's a Belgian artist, right? And he served in the army and he worked as a camouflage specialist. So if you look at any Camel cigarettes packet closely, I hope you don't, but if you do in any case, uh, just look at it closely. So behind, like in between the camel's legs, you will find a figure if you look very closely. So what is this an Easter egg? What is this Easter egg about? I mean, so see, he is Belgian, and as a Belgian form, which Belgian form of protest do you know? Subtle protest. And so if you look at the packet, I'll reveal the answer. Do you have any guesses? I think there you have seen this set, right?
Yeah, but I don't remember this question.
Yeah. So I think I'll just give the answer.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So this is the image I was talking about. So
Okay.
it is not very clear. In one of those legs, you may see a figure. So it is not very clear, but it is there. So the answer I'll show you: Belgian and form of protest, famous camouflage artist. So the answer is Mannequin Piss. So
Thinking the same. Okay.
Yeah, the statue of Mannequin Piss, he decided to put it in the camel's leg. Mannequin Piss is a Belgian form of protest. Like every year, this statue, like is a memory of like he pissing at the conquerors, basically. So
Right.
that story, as a nod to that story. So that's why I particularly like this question, because there was a lot of hints inside that question. Although sometimes it's difficult to spot from the image itself, but the question can explain you a lot of stuff. So there are people who got this question while the quiz was going on. So that made this question worthwhile. So I believe personally that it should be cracked, like at least by one or two teams. So yeah, you feel a personal satisfaction for this question. That's why.
Very nice.
So yeah. So second question I had this. Like this is geography. First one was business. This is geography. So it's about uh, an extremophile, which is an organism that thrives in physically or geochemically extreme conditions that are detrimental to most life on the earth. So this sample of an extremophile is very difficult. Probably there is just one place on earth where you can get this organism. So I just wanted, where do you get this organism? It's there, like it survives in extreme conditions, very harsh conditions, and apparently there is only one person who's been to this place and come back alive. So his name is George Couronis, and he has said about this place, I was in a spot where no human had ever been. It was like stepping onto an alien planet. More people have been on the moon, which is true because he's the only guy who has been there. This place, it was exciting, adventurous, dangerous, a world first, and a contribution to science. So, from which place was this extremophile sourced from? I mean, this place's popularity is attributed to a failed experiment by Soviet scientists in the 60s, and whose outcome is still going on for more than 40 years. Right. So think about. So I like this because you have to think about an extreme condition. You hardly know someone who has been there. So he sourced this organism from that place. Which place could it be? That was discovered by Soviet? I mean, it is attributed to Soviet scientists, and it is a failed experiment. And the outcome of that is still going on for 40 years. Something that is going on for 40 years. Harsh conditions. So which place could it be?
Okay, I'm taking a couple of guesses. I'm pretty sure they're wrong. First, I'll say is Mariana Trench,
Yeah, that
Challenger
was my
Deep.
guess.
But of course, you said he's the only person, so that cannot be the case.
Yeah. Mariana
Second, I
Trench
was
is
thinking. Yeah. Second, I
Three
was
people have already
thinking.
been there.
Yeah. Second, I was thinking was somewhere in Siberia. I'm not sure of exact answer. But 70s, mid 70s. Prithvi, do you have a guess? Soviet scientists, mid 70s, late
Soviet
70s.
throws me to Chernobyl, but does not match anything else.
Oh.
So
I'll
I'll
have
show
to
you the
pass it.
answer.
Yeah, go to the
I'll
answer.
show you the answer. So this is the gates of hell, or the Darwaza
I was
crater in
thinking this.
Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan.
Extreme heat,
Yes.
not extreme
Should have
cold.
got this.
Right.
Should have
Yeah.
got this.
So
That is one
there
of
are
the
many
first
ways through.
things that came to my mind was this. But okay.
Yeah. Always stick to your first guess.
So,
Yeah, I
so what
suppose.
was the failed Soviet experiment?
So basically, this was they were digging up for something, and it's like there was a lot of gas inside,
Okay.
and they just accidentally burned it, and it's kept on burning since then because there is
Right.
there is a continuous supply of gas.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
They
it was
haven't
an
been able to
experiment gone
extinguish
wrong.
also.
Yeah, it's an experiment gone wrong actually,
Oh,
and this has been going on
Should have got this. Very nice.
from the 70s. Thank you.
framed really well.
Yeah.
So this is one of my personal favorites. I mean, I remember. I think Adil got this
I
question.
already have a guess.
So
Look
let
at the
Prithvi
last
guess.
line. Yeah.
So basically there is this drink. I have an image. At first it's completely white, and then there is this black grass jelly called sin cow. So it slowly dissolves into the milk, and initially the entire drink is white, but slowly it becomes black. So what apt nickname is given to soya shin cow, which is a popular drink in Asia?
Wait, it
Keeping
becomes
Black to white.
black to white, no?
No, it becomes white to black.
The question says the
No,
opposite.
sorry. It becomes black to white.
Okay,
black to white.
एक काम कर.
Yeah.
I already have a guess. Prithvi. Okay, we want to see the image though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So earlier
Nice.
it was black, then it slowly became white.
I'm hungry now.
So what is it? What is the popular nickname of this drink? And actually, nobody calls it by soya shin cow. They call it by that nickname. It's that popular.
All right.
So where have you seen this transformation in some other field? It's not related to food.
Is this related to the moon?
Very good guess. Very good guess, but no.
Okay, no.
Something more popular.
Pop culture, I think he said.
Yeah.
Pop culture.
Yeah, I'll say, okay, pop culture. That's a
No,
giveaway
sir,
hint.
he didn't say it. I said it.
You said it. So basically, I know Dhar has the answer.
Yeah, sorry.
So initially, it is black, not it, but initially it's black, then becomes white. Where have you
Just pass.
seen this
Okay.
thing?
Dhar, go
So
for
the
it.
answer, Dhar.
Michael Jackson.
Arey.
So it's called Michael Jackson. This drink is called Michael Jackson. So whenever you go, I saw this in one food video or food guide. Like they say, please give me one Michael Jackson. So it's how it's called. Like street vendors in Malaysia refer to this soya shinka as Michael Jackson. So yeah, nice crack.
Nice guess.
So yeah, like this. Accidentally saw this question and I immediately framed it. So yeah, this is another one. Although this is a slightly longer question. I actually wanted to remove one part, but it's like okay. So it's just one. Algiers is an old American drama film, 1938. So this film is about a notorious French thief, jewel thief, hiding in Algiers, and the name of this guy is and it happens at a place called Kasbah. So then he basically the story revolves that he goes around and he's always in search of some love or appreciation in life. He just wants love desperately. He goes after women right, left, and center. Wherever he sees a woman, he just goes after her. So basically, and he lives in Kasbah. So which famous character, Warner Bros. Character, was inspired by this uh, famous movie? I mean, this actor's portrayal from Algiers inspired which Warner Bros. Character, who keeps on repeating this line, "Get me to Casbah," as a nod to this movie, and also because uh, uh, he's also engaged in a similar aggressive pursuit of love, if you may say.
Okay. Can I guess?
Yeah, sure.
Is this Pepe Le Pew?
It is Pepe Le
Not
Pew.
what? Okay.
It is Pepe Le Pew. Like so.
And the film
the
is
film with
Casablanca.
Casablanca. I was about
Yeah.
to guess
Yeah.
Casablanca.
Yeah,
That's
and the
the
film.
guess I.
Hedy Lamarr was the original lead for Casablanca. So Casablanca, a lot of people guessed.
Yes.
Pepe Le aggressive pursuit of love, French dual
Yeah.
thief, and Casbah. I think there were a lot of
Nice.
clues
Very
inside.
nice question.
I forgot
So-
his name. I just remembered him as the skunk.
Skunk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
think
have
somebody
given
would
points for the skunk. People wrote a skunk who always goes after women. I'm like, okay, give it.
have. Yeah, I was also trying to remember the name of Pepe Le Pew. Yeah. Okay. Very nice question.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this.
I love these two parters which have seemingly no connection, but you find a connection between them. I personally like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them in your quizzes also. Many of them are called pounce cancelers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for
Yeah.
cancellation of pounces. Everyone knows that. Otherwise, people just keep on. Everyone would have pounced on Casablanca. So this is one question like that. Two parts. I know nobody's going to pounce, but I expect Prithvi to crack this question. Pressure on you.
Oh
but-
no.
Why?
Pressure. Under pressure. Okay, sorry.
So Fela Kuti was I don't know how I am pronouncing it, but he was a Nigerian multi-instrumentalist musician, composer, and human rights activist. So he was at the height of his popularity. He was one of Africa's most challenging and charismatic music performers. So after he returned to Nigeria, he formed the Kala Kuta Republic, a recording studio and a home for many people connected to the band that he later declared independent from the Nigerian state. So basically, he wanted to protest against Nigerian state, and he used to he created his own republic. His own house was declared. He declared as independent from Nigeria as a form of protest. So he formed the Kalakuta Republic. That was the name of his house, in which a lot of protesters, dissenters gathered there, and it was a safe haven for them, basically from the oppressive government. So why the name Kalakuta Republic? What is the name behind the naming of the republic? Which subtly conveyed the atrocities of the Nigerian government. I mean, it conveyed the atrocities of the Nigerian government. So I also gave an additional hint that Kalakuta Republic was inspired. It is inspired from some another country's protest. I mean, some other countries nod to a famous protest. I mean, that's not the way to frame it, but it's related to some other country.
I will have a guess. I will say,
yeah,
Black Power Salute, because Kala something. No.
Not really.
Was this the black hole of Calcutta?
Brilliant answer. This is the black hole of Calcutta.
Nice.
So this is how Fela Kuti named Kalakuta Republic, because he thought
I was thinking Kalkotri. Yeah, please.
Because he felt that the oppressive Nigerian government was suffocating the liberties of the citizens. So that's why he named it Kalakuta, named after the infamous black hole of Calcutta incident. And which famous personality with a unique distinction is Fela's first cousin. So
okay, I have a guess here. So is this the lady who was the first lady of South Africa and Mozambique?
Oh, no. That was Grace. I forgot her name, but no. It's not her.
Is the second part workoutable by any chance?
I mean, it's a bit cold style and bit workoutable. I mean, Nigerian personality with a unique distinction. So, I mean, no, it's actually not that workoutable. So
is
the
it
name
a footballer?
First part. I'll tell you the answer. So first is Kalakuta from the black hole of Calcutta dungeon.
Okay.
Second, there is no answer. Okay, the second answer is Wole Soyinka. He was the first Nigerian, or in fact, I think the first first Nigerian to win Nobel Prize to win the Nobel Prize.
Okay, I have no idea about this.
Sweden Preps.
That was Sweden Preps.
This is how you get to the national final.
Lol.
Did you win it once? No.
Never. No.
Okay. Not even close. No?
They don't give you anything except the first prize, no?
No, only the winner takes it all. So don't really care about third or fourth or anything. So doesn't matter. But yeah, so this question in the region, Dhar, please refrain.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, the art quiz, I have a lot of art questions which I would love to add, but then I just chose.
You can only have so many.
Yeah. So the most expensive painter in the world dreams of leaving California to come to a commune in Normandy, which is bold, in the spring of 2019, and move closer to the location for his final project, which he believes could be his swan song. So basically, his next exhibition, which is due to open in Manhattan in autumn, will feature I cannot see this. A 24
panel.
24 panel panorama and 4 additional works depicting the arrival of spring in Normandy in his new home. So, what is the inspiration for this work, for which the artist shifted to France so as to observe it on a frequent basis? Which artist's final splash in the artwork would be this 24 panel work? So, think of something. I mean, some artist migrated to France for a reason, settled down in a commune in Normandy, which directly goes into the answer. Because the commune in Normandy is directly in the answer, basically. So he moves there to this commune because the inspiration for his artwork is at this place. So he's making a 24 panel. It's long 24 panel panoramic work. So which is the inspiration for this work? Why did he? I mean, which place? I mean, what is the inspiration for his final work? And which artist's final splash in the artwork will be this 24 panel work? So
I
it's
think,
24.
do you have an image for this?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
So this is the 24 panel work. I want you to tell me the inspiration for this work. He moved to a commune in France. So
No, I have no guess.
and
I'm way off.
and which artist's final splash in the artwork will be this 24 panel work?
Final splash. So no, I just
Cool.
reveal.
So I think I'll reveal the answer. So the answer is the Bayeux tapestry, because Bayeux is a commune in Normandy.
Okay.
So Bayeux tapestry, it's that long. So that's why you can see the format in which he paints.
Right.
That is inspired from this. And final splash,
Hockney,
David
yeah.
Hockney. So yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of like this because I guess there were enough hints inside. So
Yeah,
but
I
see,
have
like,
read this like this news article or something, but this framing was like really good. It really threw me off. I was thinking about something
Yeah.
else altogether.
I hoped it would throw off people. So yeah, I guess I've succeeded in that. But yeah, thank you. So yeah, this I think there is, I think, one more question. Do you have space?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to share, we are okay with it.
Yeah, I think Dhar, you have seen this. So I think
This is the same quiz. Yeah, go ahead. You can read the question.
So this is a TV series that featured. Endeavor is a TV series. Basically, it's a detective series. So there is one particular case in which there is a boxer who has a metal spiked hammered into his ear. Then there is another victim who is stabbed in the eye. Another one whose head has been decapitated, and his head is under a silver cloth or a cloth-like thing. So the detective actually solves the murder mystery because of his great interest in art. He finds out that the murderer was exacting revenge on the men who actually gang raped her. So basically, there were men at a club who gang raped this waitress, and she, as a form of revenge, killed all of these people in a manner that was seen in famous artworks by a particular person who had similar life-like experiences. So who and how exactly were these murders executed? So someone who where have you seen, like, whose work, someone who has been decapitated, whose head is under a silver cloth-like thing with a metal spike hammered into the ear, and the murderer is exacting revenge on people who raped her. So with all
This
these
was part of an
circumstances,
art quiz, by the way, Prithvi. This was part of an art quiz.
It is kind of
is this Bosch, Hieronymus Bosch?
not really. Good guess though. But someone very,
Bosch
like,
has a lot of such
lot of
motifs
things
also,
inside.
no? Yeah,
Yeah,
lot
he
of
has a lot of
motifs,
things.
which is a good guess. Yeah.
Somebody even guessed Caravaggio. That was the closest somebody came to that answer.
Oh.
Caravaggio, in a way, is closest to that answer. You'll find out after that answer.
Yeah.
Caravaggio is the closest in.
Yeah. So where have you seen basically head decapitated under a cloth like a cloth above the head, and the head is being decapitated.
No, pass.
So I'll just show the answer. So this is Judith. The painting is Judith slaying Holofernes, and a lot of other paintings. The artist is Artemisia Gentileschi, because she was also raped by another artist, and
Okay.
that's why her paintings are so brutal and graphic.
Okay, I didn't know of her at all. So yeah.
This was cracked by no one.
Yeah.
So
I would
nothing to
have
feel
cracked it,
guilty
but I
of.
was the QM.
Thanks.
Judith and Holofernes is like a common motif done by a lot of painters, right?
Yeah, Caravaggio
Caravaggio
did
also
that.
did it. Yeah, which
That's
is why.
why
I think
he was
another guy, Gustav Klimt did it.
really.
Oh, did he?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a very different version, but there is.
Okay, I never knew about this. So this one. So there are few questions that can be classified as Peters, but when you recycle that Peter, it's no more a Peter.
I already have a guess.
Huh?
कुछ नहीं,
I
कुछ
think
नहीं.
I've shown you. I think I've shown you this set.
Oh, this I don't remember the question. I
Read
kind
the
of worked it out already.
Yeah. So he was an American soldier, railroad executive, inventor, industrialist, and politician. So he was a United States senator and served as a governor. So uh, he took part in a lot of in the American Civil War, conducted successful campaigns, lots of other things. But who is this guy? Basically, he's famously known for an anatomical feature we associate with him. So basically, if I had asked the other way around, you would have gotten this question very easily. So he was also the first president of which organization that is often associated with debates concerning places like Sandy Hook Elementary School and Stoneman Douglas High School.
So he's the president of NRA.
That is gone. The NRA is the second part.
And is this Sideburns?
It is Ambrose Burnside of Sideburns fame. So he is Mr. Burnside. Like we have seen this Sideburns question, I don't know how many times.
Yes.
I think every quizzer has seen
because
this.
you had two parts. I think this was a good prelims question because you would get one part anyway.
People got both parts, I guess, this one, because like both
I
of
don't
them
know
are.
about the NRA. Which is why.
Okay, so now that we've gone through your favorite questions, what exactly do you like about quizzing? What has attracted you towards this as a hobby, as an activity?
I mean, initially just started as a way to meet people I could connect to, but then it turned out into a full-fledged hobby. Like I couldn't even know when that happened. So I guess I started going to it because like I think that I can speak for every quizzer. Like you go in the beginning probably not to win, but just to see what's going on. And then there is this one moment, this one question that probably you know and nobody else knows. That is probably the only question you might even answer in that quiz. But when you get that one moment, I think you are hooked on forever. So it's kind of something that happened to me. Like one or two questions you get, nobody knows, like Pandora's box or something that was in the beginning. So kind of you get a really good feeling after that. And I mean, everyone needs a morale boost now and then. So doesn't really matter. I thought at that point of time, it doesn't really matter whether I win or lose. But as far as whenever you stick to something so long, there are bound to be moments like these. So I just went for these moments, and then after some point in time, there were more questions which I knew. So gradually just picked on stuff, and I guess once after a point in time, you just start loving it, and then you go for it even if there is no money involved or anything. It's just because you want to be there at that point of time, and you just want to enjoy. So one of those few things which gives me personal satisfaction. I think that is something and makes you happy for some reason. So I think that was one reason that I started and I still continued with quizzing for a long time now. So yeah.
And now that you've spent so many years, is there something that irks you, something you want to change in quizzing?
Yes, definitely. I mean, quizzing circuit is as I mean, it's like every other circuit, it has its own faults also. I mean, it's not that it's complete. So there are a lot of improvements that can be made. There is a lot of room for that. Like I have a lot of instances and things like it's very male centric. Main problem I have with quizzing, it's very male centric for some reason, and that you can see that it's a big problem. Like why is it so male dominated, and why are like is it not uh, proper environment for women? Like I am not the perfect person to answer these questions, but these queries have been raised before me. So it should be more inclusive, and it depends on every quizzer how they treat their peers. It's a big responsibility on them also, but I think every quizzer should keep that in mind. It should be uh, a habituable environment. It should be a very good environment for everyone, not just women, for everyone who comes there. It shouldn't be that a particular section of male uh, dominant, a particular age group of men just keep on coming at quiz, and the others feel uncomfortable about that. So that should be a very uh, good environment basically for quizzing. So, and it should be way more inclusive. So the one of those things like shuffling teams and all that, those are one of those things that I
One of the steps
want.
that
But
we can take.
my we can take, but there should be a lot of other steps so that a lot of other people from can also try. Especially, I hope it's more mixed next time whenever I attend any other quiz club. That gives a strong message that it has been a good quiz club and it's been good to everyone, not just a particular fraction of the society.
I think one of the reasons we came up with this podcast also was to like shed this image that there are only obnoxious people in quizzing who just make it very difficult for people, especially the newbies to quiz. So here we see the lighter side of things and we see where people come from. So yeah, and now we can explain our point further that we also want that change and we're not against new people coming in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the most important message, I think. Uh, there are a lot of my friends who don't want to come to quizzes because of that reason, because of this very obnoxious thing. I mean, they might have encountered one or two quizzes, but I told them that it doesn't speak of the entire circuit. I mean, uh, it's as diverse. The people are as diverse in their thinking as you may find in any other society. I mean, it's not necessary that all of them may think of the same thing. Some people might think other things, but I strongly think that you shouldn't just judge the entire circuit by one or two people. So yeah, it's a huge circuit. There are a lot of people. Everyone has their pros and cons, but I think uh, overall the environment of the quizzing environment should be very friendly. That's all. So yeah, and that obnoxious thing, yeah. Also that for people who come, you should be more. I found that like whenever I've been lucky to go to quizzing circuits where people have been more open-minded and warm. So whenever I have been new to any quizzes, I have never felt neglected or discouraged in any way. And I think I hope this environment remains wherever I go or in any other circuit too. Not just an elite group of intellectuals. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that brings us to an end. On that note, we'll end this episode of Whose Question Is This? Thank you, Shrey, for your time. And I think we have to thank the audience also, our viewers.